Hi, thanks for joining. Today I'm going to take this Tifa piece and get it to about this level, which is going to be pre-ready to finish. And along the way, we're going to talk to friends and have a good time. So join Max. We'll have a lot of fun. All right. Whoops. All right. Kicking on the music. Hopefully that is going to play. There it is. Okay. Took a second. All right. We have a window. Let's see what we can do. Okay. This might be just a chill stream. We'll see how it goes. This is one of those kinds of drawings that I would normally like to draw small. Drawing big is sometimes problematic for me. I'm not used to it as much as I am drawing small, like a small storyboard frame. So when I have a subject depicted large in the composition, hello, how you doing, Brain? Glad you could join. I was just about to talk or ramble a little bit about the differences in approach when you're drawing small versus drawing big. And some people prefer to draw big, and some people prefer to draw small. And I'm fairly neutral, except I think I'm just more accustomed to drawing small. All right, no interruptions allowed. I will do my best to draw in the medium, because if I'd be very comfortable sort of drawing her like this, right? And it's like so small for this screen. I feel like that's a little bit of a disservice, but maybe it's okay to sort of demo the power of drawing small, and then we can zoom in on it later and see good things. I don't even care if it's offensive to some. Not that it would be, but I could come up with a better way of showing something small being drawn. But at the moment, I'm not sure how to do that. So, but this was a good sketch we started the other day. It's of Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, and it's pretty decent, at least to start. But I want to correct and clarify some things. Hey, Danny. Maybe this is sort of a medium. It's like I'm kind of painting over it, and I'm kind of drawing it from scratch. Or it's like a tracing. Oh, I remember you had a pop-up window that shows canvas in the small view. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that's the navigator window. Will it work if I... Okay. So if nothing else, I can draw small here, and it'll be bigger here. Well, that's kind of a good angle. Can I... Might be better than nothing. Maybe I make myself small up here. Hey Max, instead of drawing small, just make yourself small. Well, we can see how that goes. When you draw big, what you see is a lot of empty space, right? If you're I think there was a show called, what was it? I don't know if it wasn't called Shrinking. Well, it's the one where downsizing. It's like Matt Damon shrinks himself. I heard it was a terrible film, but it was like, it's an interesting concept. If something is smaller, you need to eat less. Like everything, your needs are smaller, you know? And I think it's, like if I have a big storyboard frame, I just see all this space where I can see all this detail. If I take that frame and I zoom out of it so that it's small, it really simplifies, and you see the whole composition better, right? So let's find a happy medium. And I'm going to try to find a brush that I think is going to help me in this situation. I've got a lot of... It might have been this one. Okay, you watch Downsizing, and so that's the general premise, yes? The, And welcome, Andy. Yeah. Aloha. Dude, so other people in the chat don't know, but Andy and I are in a storyboarding group, and we've had I don't know if it was shocking because she had been sick, but I didn't know it was as far along as that. Poor Frankie Smith, what a name. Yeah. But yeah, the very underrated storyboard artist and artist in general has passed away, and to me it's quite tragic. I'm upset about it, and it's just a reminder to get out and make art, because you might just die the next day. That's a fucked up reality. No one is guaranteed another day. Okay, we'll see if these settings hold. And kind of what I'm trying to do right now is just clarifying a little bit of the lines. I'm adding information that I may or may not come back to later. I may have hour and a half, 2 hours to do the stream. We'll see. Yeah, so this is Tifa. She's a fan favorite from Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to draw her looking amazing. And it's going to go viral and solve all my problems. Yeah, Frankie being gone. That was, I've had her to my house even for a party with Zach. And, I've had some... Zach and I were talking to Frankie till like 3 a.m. at one point. Frankie was a fighter, yeah. And she was like very health conscious and health oriented. Like, former competitive bodybuilder and stuff like that. She sort of explored, and I didn't know her well, but what I knew of her always seemed to impress me. And then I'd see her art and I'd be like, damn, you fucking are really naturally, because she always seemed like naturally good. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the world's worst thing if I, pulled up some pictures of Frankie on her Facebook, but I don't know if that's quite appropriate. But she definitely had her, I don't know if she got far, like had her pro card or anything like that, but she competed, That's as far as I know. She would post things like throwback to when I was a competitive bodybuilder, So she's like posing down in a bikini with huge triceps. And I don't know how old she was. She sort of seemed young, even if she wasn't. But I don't know. Like, she also was sick. That's got to age you. Sort of dogged by health issues and complications that came on way too quick. And I feel like not enough is said that, like, this is the problem in general about American health insurances and stuff. Essentially, in America, with rare exception, your health insurance is mostly tied to your employment. Only recently, because of, relatively recently, because of like Obamacare and stuff, had they passed laws where it's like, okay, you can't just deny people medical coverage because they had a pre-existing condition, etc., etc. It's like you can't just deny people insurance, who need insurance, getting insurance and stuff. And obviously that became a big political issue. I hope none of that made things worse or harder for Frankie. But actually, when I recall her Facebook posts, I know that she was struggling and dealing with basically being on the phone all day, just trying to get her, her dad squared away with stuff. And then so soon after that, she was gone. Seemed like she was always trying to do the right thing, but life was not fair. There was a Frankie at one point, I remember, posted on Facebook, she was saying, she's like, I really need to make rent this month. Does anybody want to buy these skull paintings? And I was feeling rich that day. So I messaged her and I was like, I'll take 3. And she was ecstatic. So I drove over because I actually wanted to meet her. It had more to do with like, who's this chick posting awesome fucking paintings? And, she was an artist where she had a kind of flourish. That's hard to do, is have a style that reads as your own, that it's something that doesn't always happen. A lot of people's art can look generic, or similar to, other kinds of styles. But Frankie really seemed to be set apart in her skill, which always fascinated me because I couldn't tell where the hell she came from. Like, where did you... It sort of seemed like she put down bodybuilding and picked up art and then excelled at that. It's like, how do you do that? It's an amazing thing when I see that happen. So I wanted to meet her, and I saw that she was selling her paintings and needed some money, and I was like, if anybody's paintings are worth buying, it's this chick, So I headed on down, because she just lived up the street. I knew she lived in North Hollywood. And she ran down and sold me her paintings, and I got a good look at her. I was like, okay, she was sort of like this weirdly beautiful, but also sort of like androgynous. She didn't really she knew how to make herself beautiful, but not in a way that, like, you know, you wouldn't, as a guy, you felt totally at ease just talking to her like a guy. It was like that. I don't know. It's like a weird way to put things, but it was true for me, at least. And you know, I had great respect for her skills. So for me, it was a fun kind of quick meeting, and we needed some Halloween decorations anyway. So I bought 3 of her skull paintings. I hope I still have them around. It's just, the lesson is, like, you know, people are here one day and gone the next. It's really sad. I thought she'd have more time. Yeah, Frankie is a storyboard friend of ours. It was, you know, artists can... Frankie, like, if it was just a matter of her skill, you know, she was very underrated and you know, needed to pop off, but she was sort of a little bit of an older you know, she's older than me, so it's like the sort of, I don't know, social media might not have been her forte. Could have been, and she wasn't like she wasn't trying, but she also sort of, you know, was honest to herself and genuine to herself. And unlike me, I'm trying to, like, pour myself out and speed run famousness as a last ditch effort. I am hoping that Frankie can be discovered and appreciated in her, I guess, in her absence, her own absence. That would be deserving, in my opinion. I'll dig up some art of hers and I'll post it in the Discord later. I think it's worth looking at her stuff. It's not something that would change the world, probably, but it'll give context to what I'm sort of talking about. That was kind of her thing. She would just seem something and she wanted to do and go all in. Yeah, but she also just seemed like she knew what she was. I don't know. It's like, to me, what I saw was a fully baked artist who was just starting out. Like, that's what is so bizarre to me. Like, when that happens, it does happen. It can happen. But, like, you know, and I've always been an artist and I've always been working at this stuff, but, you know, I'm maturing now, you know, a little bit. So it's like, so for me, I reflect on it as like, yeah, it takes 40 years to mature as an artist. And I guess for some, maybe it just happens in the background, right? Brain says, I get what you mean, because I had that experience when the older generation, my family, started passing away. You kind of get a sense that people are kind of more constant and eternal than in most things in life, but that isn't really true. Yeah, and I've with rare exception, I don't really have, I can't reach to a lot of personal family members passing away that like, you know, both my parents are still alive, for instance. And you know, they're not young, but they're not that old either, relative to what's common, I think, these days. So I'm, you know, but I don't know. It's, I considered Frankie a friend, and now she's gone, and I didn't, I'm not, I guess I have to process some of that today. Ooh, let's remember to save. Everybody save your work. Once a person passes, they kind of vanish. It's hard to describe. Her absence is, it's if even if I don't feel it, you know, because it's like, and this is another issue with like the remote work and all this stuff, is it's like I really only met her twice in my life. No, 3 times. One time she came to another group outing. Yeah, but she was, for being a newcomer. So Frankie came on my radar the same time that Zach did, and like Andy and all this stuff. It was like artists that didn't know each other were just sort of like, hey, let's just sort of come together. And it was interesting. You know, it only seems to get harder the older I get. I thought I'd get easier, honestly. Dealt with death a good bit when I was younger, and I feel all of that more now than I did then. Man, it's that, of course, we're listening to different music, so it's not at the top tip of my tongue, but yeah, Pink Floyd had a very good song about time that it's fun to reflect on, and maybe I'll listen to that later. One thing in this original sketch that I think I need to work on a little bit is the hand pose. It's not bad the way I drew it, but it was a little too referenced to what was a bad reference, and I can do better just by using my imagination. But I do want to pull up a reference of Tifa's costume. Frankie was a great example of someone that if she had just sort of doubled down on the art thing instead of chasing the competitive bodybuilding, like, she'd have been goated. I mean, she was just an underrated goat, but like, honestly, you know, I found out, you know, she did one of the heavy metal covers. Like, I can't believe that. That's fucking amazing to me. She had a knack for making very interesting paintings, and that's hard to do. I mean, I don't know. She should have been big. Could have been. Life isn't fair. Tifa, Fantasy 7. Anyway, there's no time for the one day. You know, the one day I'll do this and one day I'll do that. It's like, gotta work on that shit now. I do. Not everybody, but whatever it is you want to do one day, maybe start today. Start today, stay out of my way. I'm just trying to figure out what are the little nuts and bolts on her hand. This looks like a good reference. Yes. Okay, so this is helpful. No Pinterest, don't log me in. Okay. So I'm going to show the reference I just clipped up. This feels helpful. I don't know if it is, but, you know, I'm going to look at this. You get what you mean? Not every pursuit needs to end in great. Not every pursuit needs to end in greatness. No, that's totally true. Some things are just for your eyes, ears, and memory. Yeah. I don't know. From what I know, Frankie, she didn't deserve to have it so tough. But nobody does. Hey, Charity. Everybody, the semi-psychedelic goes by Charity. So that's what I'm referring to. Welcome. I'm trying to make embittered this piece that I drew. Not this, or you know, I did a sketch the other day. Looks like this, and it just needs a little help to feel a little bit more grounded, at least for me, and then I can feel more confident moving forward with it. One of my art buddies passed away the other day, so we were just reflecting on how it makes us feel. It feels bad. It was a gift from my mother for my birthday, so I do indeed go by it. Names are like that. They're like a gift from our parents, right? Yeah, I'm not like in a can't sleep, can't think kind of phase about it. But like in the, like, Frankie died of cancer basically, and coincidentally I'm wearing this shirt from the memorial of one of the little girls that we knew from the hospital from when my daughter was sick. We got to know other families, and unfortunately some passings of small children, and there's something about it seemed appropriate of a shirt to wear. Yeah. But I don't think Frankie would want us moping around about it either. Frankie would be very satisfied if we just remember it every once in a while to raise a glass. And I don't have a glass of alcohol with me right now, so we'll do that later. But you know, another time when it feels right. Prost, yeah. Yeah, it is always the nicest people. You had a few friends. I'm sorry. I feel like now that I'm not a young person anymore, things of that type will happen with more and more regularity. Slancha, yeah. All right, good for you for not drinking. I'll get there eventually. My brother has been turning away from alcohol lately. It's good for him. I feel like it'll be... My time will come. Sorry, I just found it interesting. This is a silly... Oh, shit. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up this reference and it got absurd. Here we go. Miss Booze. Today was a day of restraint for me because there was my wife had like a small party with friends while I was away, and some leftover booze. Like there was a beer in the fridge, and I was like, That's one of TJ's beers. It's probably really good. Should I drink it? And then I reminded myself I'm not drinking beer at the moment. So I managed to not drink it. That was pretty good. You don't get hangovers, you get panic attacks, so that's not good. Oh, speaking of booze, you finished the bottles of wine. Those bottles were gone a long time ago. But the finished art was well received. And just to quickly fill in, because it did go well, and I was pleased with that. This is done, and it's I actually had it printed out at the local. Well, Kinko's doesn't exist anymore, but it was like the FedEx bought Kinko's, and that's what I used to print it out. But this is the finished art. I printed it out, kind of poster size. Gave it to my buddy. That's where I was this weekend, celebrating my friend's birthday. He lives in Paso Robles. You're allergic to bread, huh? I have like a full bottle of strawberry wine, Angry Orchard, and pink lemonade shooters. I haven't gotten rid of them because my friends and family drink them. Yeah. Strawberry wine sounds resistible to me, but I would totally drink it. I've had like blueberry wine and stuff. They make all kinds of wine in like those Pacific Northwest kind of places. Okay, and this is the reference that I'm talking about. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, here. Somewhat helpful to see. So this you guys can see, but I'm going to move this up so I can reference it. Because it's a decent resolution image that I need to sort of examine. And I won't copy everything about the... This is essentially the hand pose too, but I don't like the way that looks. Yeah, bread. I'm not allergic to bread, but I've been informed by my doctor that that is what is making me fat. That and the alcohol, but I can only give up so many things at once. So my only goal right now is to stop drinking beer and exercise with some regularity. I've been able to do that for a few weeks. I'm mortified to report, though, I have not lost a single pound. I'm telling myself it's because I'm gaining muscle, right? That has to be the reason, right? But other than looking slightly better without my clothes on, I don't really feel like I've got much muscle on me. But Frankie would be proud for me, for my trying, you know. You love pizza and beer, and they hate you in return. I hope the music feels satisfactory. There is this is Final Fantasy and chill is the playlist, and I think it's appropriate, but it's not as chill hoppy as some of the other stuff I try to put on, which I would kind of prefer, but this sort of feels appropriate. We've got a sort of a feminine subject. We can talking about friends passing. It's not that feels appropriate still. Eating is a bigger lever to control weight than exercise. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's interesting. I get a little bit... I don't want to be over-indexed on that stuff either. Actually, I'm fine if I stay the same weight. But if I slowly put on more muscle, I am even more fine with that. I used to be much more vain when I was younger. I say used to be. As if I'm not still pretty vain, but but you know, I get it from my parents who are constantly going on diets and changing their doing strange things, and not strange things, but they do you'd call it taking care of yourself, but to me it's a little too much. Like looking good physically, but maybe not as... Does it correspond well mentally? I don't know. Anyway, not freaking out about food. I shouldn't be... I don't know. I get a little annoyed when... my father engages in a lot of restrictive eating, and that's his thing, and it's good for him, I guess. But it's I'm sensitive to it. I want to model sort of sustainable eating habits in front of my children when possible. Sustainability is my new, even though like the concept of sustainability, like societally, has been around a while now. I'm starting to realize that a lot of what irks me about things that are bad about like AI and other types of business practices is the unsustainability of it, and so I'm talking about stuff like that more. Sugar regulate. All right, what's going on here? I'm missing some of this. Blessed with a high metabolism. I mean, back in the 90s, if you made 90,000, you were middle class. Now, if you're making 90,000, you better hope you're single, because then you'll be okay. And this is all true. Yeah. 90,000 was a fair bit in the 90s. Yeah, you would be confidently, easily middle class. I mean, it kind of depends where you live. You could raise a family of 4 and still be way well off making 90K in the 90s. Yeah. Now you need 200,000 for a family of 4. Definitely in our area. And it's like when we're just talking about like being comfortable basically with money, where you're basically everything you need and the stuff that you want, you don't really have to think about it too much. You know, and also factoring in, like, you're probably saving at that, you're probably trying to save for like college for your kids and or emergency funds and stuff. Like you're not, it's not paycheck to paycheck living. It's hard these days. It's always been hard with kids, but okay, so according to this sketch, which I kind of like, she's got like boxer's tape around her hands. I think that's kind of cool. And gloves. And the gloves, I think, are important. So we're going to add in those gloves. She's got these kind of like MMA gloves, but they're sort of streetified, so you can kill a motherfucker with them. And then what's this one look like? Yeah. Got a fun pad of brass knuckles strapped on. And we'll do the fingerless gloves because those are sexier. Where the fuck is that? Because bread everywhere is like $3 and I'm being generous. The metrics of bread. Brain is in India, correct? So we're lucky to have Brain joining the chat. It's those signals are coming from far across the planet. Brain is also a goated artist. Super underrated. Speaking of underrated goated artists. Brain with the facts. Let's see here. These are it's an interesting slice of the world here. Brain, do you do art for a living? I know you make amazing art on art that I see, but I wonder if any of that... Okay, yeah, you do. Okay. Is it like the same stuff you show? So it's like, is it commissions or is it... I mean, I'm hoping everybody's fortunes can reverse themselves. If the case is needed for that to be. Things can always get worse, is one thing I know from experience. Be, so, some days it might not seem that way, but probably could. There's nothing, there's no one so rich and powerful and blessed and privileged that everything that they have can't be gone in an instant. It really can. A tragedy can really just befall anybody. Any sense of security that we or anybody else ever has is kind of an illusion, if you ask me about it. And it really is about the small things in the end. But agreed, it would be nice if the basic staples in life were cheaper. How do we make that happen? Well, if I ever get some of that crazy internet money, I'm gonna fling it around to everybody. That's the hard thing to choke down, is how people can have so much and then hoard it all to themselves, you know, knowing all the want in the world. Okay, this isn't perfect, but I am liking better the hands. And then the face didn't need much, but let's see here. Okay, Brain is doing comms and emotes, Twitch branding. Cool, cool. Starting animations, the art I just make, yeah. Well, you're young though, right? At least I'm hoping, you know, you've got a good amount of runway to take off your career, right? So, your daughter said she's going to get a culinary art degree. Oh, culinary art degree. Open a restaurant and hire you. Oh, that'd be fun. Currently enrolled to start her associates in culinary this fall. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Great respect for chefs and things like that. It's a survivorship bias thing. The people who hoard and scrounge end up insanely rich. Just sort of, I don't know. I feel like the best way to be happy is to like make other people happy. But who knows? Money is a hard thing to suss out. You're in your late 20s. Okay, well, that's good because you're too good to be in your young 20s. But it's not great if it's a struggle to make a living as an artist. But like, if you're getting any money whatsoever, you're sort of in rare company these days. Here's today's facts: is I'm not booked today. I'm not working. I haven't worked in a few days. I'm running on fumes, and you know, I'm hoping eventually to use the art I generate on these streams as, you know, portfolio pieces. If I ever get in a jam, I'll have something at hand to sort of be like, yeah, I can do cool stuff. Check this out. I am drawing. So if you've played Final Fantasy VII, this is so it's not good that you can't tell who it is, but it this is the remake version of her, and this doesn't look like her, but this is for me the Tifa, who's the character. This is the character. She's from Final Fantasy VII. She's sort of one of the side love interests. There's sort of like a love triangle thing. It's okay. Don't worry about that. I played them and I can barely recognize what people are talking about when they talk about Final Fantasy VII. You fully committed to art a few years back. I'm glad you did that. You have I seldom use the word gift, but I feel like you, from what I can tell about your time lapses, you don't make enough mistakes to be, to have anything but confidence in the work you do. And you know, it's like if you, you know, I think you shade just a tad bit too dark. You know, that's my only thing to say. Or it's like, you know, like if you, I think if somehow your work could appear a little brighter, like it would probably be even. I know it's already well received, and I look at it and it already looks amazing. But it is something where it's like, to be honest, I'm scratching my head why, you know, your Instagram doesn't pop off. I feel like it should. So Brain is on Instagram, and he doesn't get enough. I think he's being unfairly sort of, I don't know. Is like a region shadow ban an issue? Like it shouldn't be that being in India is a thing that keeps your account from going crazy. Anyway, it's kind of the same handle. I think it's a little different. Your stuff, like the part of the reason I don't give you a lot of feedback because I'm like, I just want him to keep going because he's just gonna get it like in time, you know. And it's like, honestly, it's better than 99.9% of the stuff I see, so it's like great, you know. Like the most important lesson to like getting better at art is just keep going, I guess. It's interesting. If you look at this closely, you can see like just tracing it changed the angle of the face somewhat, even though I didn't want it to. Just kind of did, you know? It's like, is it bad? Is it good? I don't think it was necessary to do. Can I retrace it again for the third time and not have it mess up? Yeah. Oop. Let's flip the image. Let's see what things look like. That looks good. I don't know if it's Tifa, but we can get there. What do you know? You've drawn enough hair. Enough space for the head on the hair. God, it's so hot in this room right now. Everything is melting. One thing I don't love is sort of, well, it's something we'll control for, but this elbow pad feels a little overstated, but I feel like it's sort of correct given the costuming. Close enough to correct. But I don't want it to be more important than it is, and it's not that important. So it's just one of those things that later on we'll explore ways of knocking it back. All right, yeah, everybody drop a follow to Brain. Brain deserves more. Brain, you could drop a link in the chat if you want to. Or unless you already did. Andy is also goated. Andy is also goated. Yeah, drop your link in. And then Brain, post more. Because from what I can tell, you pretty much rattled this stuff off. It's not like a one-to-one thing, but I see a little bit of like the sort of flourish and confidence. There's sort of like a you know, for given the context I can tell, I think it's I think you're at a higher skill level than one would expect, even for someone trying really hard, you know. That's just a thing. It's like people can go when it comes to the arts, like people can go to school and learn and go to the best schools and learn from the best people and still not make much progress. And some people just sort of sit down and teach themselves and become amazing, you know, and both people should have a chance to do what they want, right? But I feel like, you know, if your body and your brain and your neurochemistry and the stars are aligning with you, then it's like, you know, hey, don't squander that. Go do the thing. It's a natural fit. All right, good. Well, I think it's helpful to, I don't know. The smallest things can like tip the balance. A little bit of a debate mentally, how much buffness. Yeah. In the video games, they over-index on the skinniness of the female characters too much, which I get it. But also, it's not believable that, you know, what's more believable is the costuming if she actually has like you know, some substance to her frame for this stuff to strap onto. That's what my nieces did. No training there, just naturally talented. The fake tattoos they give people. Like, wow. Wait a second. Fake tattoos. Oh, but you mean like those those tattoo markers you can buy now and just so fun to watch them. Oh, very cool. So they're like they're not exactly fake, like they last a while, or they're meant to appear. It's a like makeup tattoo basically. Temporary. I'm curious. Tattoo markers. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Body mark. Oh, cool. Okay, ordered. This looks cool. Lasts up to 10 days. Very cool. All right. When I was a kid, they told us that permanent marker on your skin would poison you. I don't know if that's the case, but they probably just didn't want us playing with getting high with markers or something. Okay. Now I feel like the classic Tifa probably has a more slender looking jaw. Something smaller, pointier. This is feeling stronger for me. More confident moving forward with this as like a finished looking piece, right? We can sort of put it through a round of critical thinking. Because I'll be honest, sometimes I get on the stream, I'm a little bit, you know, under the influence. It's not my proudest admission, but when I do, it, you know, there's a lot of chance for me thinking something's amazing when it isn't, and it's happened. So if you know, so a little bit of realness there, but also sort of like thinking something's amazing isn't the same thing as it being amazing. but it's because I'm well practiced in techniques that I know pretty much always work, that I can sort of confidently just sort of get reckless. Always be back. You'll always be your harshest critic, and that goes for everybody. The minor exception for that is my wife is not able to filter her opinion about my art, which is interesting, you know, because she is not a talented artist or anything like that. But I really like that if she sees something, if something's off in a she knows what I can do, having been with me a long time. She's just like, okay, Max is capable of amazingness, so that's the standard, is it has to look amazing. And if I look at it, or from her perspective, if she looks at it and it doesn't meet like really high threshold, she will absolutely be like, yeah, I don't know, you know. She'll be like, I don't like it that much, and that's the signal to me that I need to examine something as having a wife is the true exception. Because sometimes I'll have that doubt, but sometimes that doubt is valid and sometimes it's not. But she is the sort of the truth teller, you know. It's I think Danny was in chat earlier. He was saying that he shows his stuff to his mom, and his mom is like, everything you draw is wonderful. And he's like, yeah, that's not feedback, Mom. I need feedback. Andy's wife is an artist who holds everything to a higher standard, yeah. So you can't get away with something that just looks good, you know? They're gonna be like... One time, this is when I was taking that Nathan Fowkes composition class, and I was showing her some of my student work. Then this is over 10 years ago, but I was showing her some of my student work, and bear in mind, even Nathan Fowkes was like, "Oh, Max, your stuff's really impressive. You know, you have a knack for this stuff. You know," it's sort of me aping his rhythm of speech, but he, you know, so I was regularly getting praise from Nathan, my teacher, on the work that I was putting out. But I'd call my wife in to get her opinion, and I'll never forget this. She looked at the piece and she was like, "So is this a class in abstraction?" Like, she seriously couldn't make out what it was that I was sort of depicting. And to be fair, I had been focusing more on the composition, less on like details of realism and stuff like that. But that one stung a little bit, yeah. Oh, the art gene skipped you. No, that's terrible. I do sometimes think it might be a gene. My daughter absolutely has the art bug, but she caught it relatively late, like compared to me. And my son feels like that story may yet be told, but it's okay if it's not his thing. It doesn't have to be. He really enjoys doing performances, though. It's like his... He definitely has a creative mind, for sure. Okay, so into this, I'm going to start filling it in and shading it. And unfortunately, we can't go way too much longer. Let me look at my phone. All right, so far, nothing crazy happening. You're lucky because if you're too deep into art, then oh boy, it can be a bad time. It's like a blessing and a curse to be I often, it doesn't have to be, but I do often make the joke that deciding to be a professional artist is like taking a vow of poverty. Now, I won't plead that that is how things went for me, but it is something that it's better to set those sights. Like, you better love this stuff to do it professionally. That's for sure. It's a little different for me. You know, my parents were professional, successful artists, at least for a while. So I had a little bit of like, okay, this can be done. Maybe I should give this a shot. Oh, welcome back, Danny. Let's see here. Oh, die on the hill that modern artists need more education in business and art. Agreed. Agreed 100%. Selling charcoal sketches is a hard bargain. There is something about the physical piece of art in a person's hands that that will always be. I think there will always be a market for that. Okay. We're gonna go till someone interrupts me, and it might be my wife coming home, or it could be anything, but theoretically by 3:15 at the latest, my wife will be here with my son from preschool. And then I'll have to stop for sure. But we can keep going on till then. Okay. I might try to inject a little bit of this art hack that I use from time to time. So if we follow along, we can sort of... And this isn't something I invented, but I noticed other artists doing it. But they sort of do it they apply it a little haphazardly, and to my knowledge, it works really well when applied consistently. And essentially, it's like adding little spot shadows in the crevices, and not every opportunity needs to be taken. But it's on its own layer, so me doing this won't mess anything up. But it should be possible for me to go through this a little bit, and we'll see the effect pretty clearly. It'll be on its own layer. And maybe we'll like it, maybe we won't. It'll be like, you guys can say, not gonna lie, look better before, and it may. But one thing that it does is it adds some information that I can use or discard, depending on whether or not I want to. I'm just sort of going into where forms sort of overlap, and then sort of darkening and creating a shadow there, especially on the underside. Never on top. So like the top of this head, never get anything. But where there's separations or overlaps, where things are falling away into the side, those are opportunities. Might not be bad to have it there. If I darken these in all the way, is that going to screw me? Let's save that for another pass. And so what does this do? Well, it sort of adds depth, but it's sort of, what it's actually doing is giving an impression of the piece being presented like a relief sculpture. I've never sold stuff at conventions. I'm not opposed to that, but I feel like having a solid body of work might be a good thing to have beforehand. So I think I'd like to do that. I'm a fairly accomplished charcoal sketch artist myself, though I'm out of those habits. I can recommend none other than Nathan Fowkes' charcoal portrait drawing class. Really, now I had been taking classes like that on and off in the past, and I definitely had some confidence going into that class, but that really helped refresh my brain on all the things you gotta do. What I didn't do was work at it long enough to get my speed up. So you also got to be fast when you're doing that stuff live. So I'm pretty good. Like if you give me a photo and you're like, can you do a charcoal portrait? I'll be like, sure. And I'll take too long to do it because it's like, you know, I'm like a digital artist now. I can barely function without a stylus. But with enough heads up, I would definitely be able to. I like if it was a life and death thing, I could totally get into that. Yeah, people pay good money for that stuff. I know, because in my youth, I've even paid for one of those things. Yeah, Comic-Con would be cool to go to. Let's see. Like, having good art is all good and everything, but you need to actually plan out what you're actually selling. Yeah. Is it prints, keychains, shirts? Yeah, the idea of... So, it's like, I'm monetized as a storyboard artist. Like, for me, I know that business well. It's also sort of a simple business. Connecting with consumers directly and things that audiences want, will pay for, that's something that I'm just now getting into. I don't know what to... And I'm not going to just expect that everything I do is going to sell. So I'm looking to have some like a range of options, you know? But one thing that was encouraging regarding this was when I went to the print shop the other day and picked up that finished piece, printed out, it looked pretty amazing. It was good, and I didn't even, like, I was just guessing at what settings to use and stuff. So there's hope for that. What would make sense is if I actually go to a convention and see what people are buying and see what people are selling. That would probably be a good idea. If I decided to run the con circuit, I will definitely let you know. Local festivals, your stuff would totally sell. I think that would sell well as prints. What I want to do... I mean, it's like, this could be just be as simple as, like, I go to, like, a convention and I see Zelda stuff selling, and I'm like, well, my stuff looks better than that, you know? Then that's it. That's all I need, but, like, I kind of need to see it, you know? But also sort of like, what does a booth look like? I haven't been to Comic-Con in forever. You're contemplating going back in yourself? Yeah. Well, I just feel like I just know I can't absorb a big loss if I, you know, you have upfront costs to create merchandise. So it's like, I don't know. I got totally traumatized by, like, my dad printing out all those comic books and then them just sort of not selling. It was a real blow to my ego. Now, that had nothing really to do with me, but it was, you know, a cautionary tale, if nothing else, that, you know, if you're going to buy something, make sure you have a track record of selling, you know, I don't know. It was it's not like we didn't know it was a risk, but also it was far more riskier than we had assessed it to be. Remember, the adults are us now. That's why retro gaming stores are big right now. We all grew up on games. We all want that nostalgia. Yeah. I have some interesting ideas for updates to the interface here that you guys might notice implemented before long. Booth fees and table fees, yeah. Oh, my wife is calling. She's just calling to let me know that she's on her way home. It's not an emergency. She knows I'm in the zone making incredible art. do you know how to do it safely? Max, do you know anyone who does cons? Just take a couple of prints and ask to one of their booths and ask that person's customers. Prints are the safest thing to do. Overhead is the lowest. Margin is the best. I would restock before a con. For under 300. Well, how many prints do you get? You guys are inspiring me to get into this a little bit. I know plenty of people do, so I might as well try. The you know, I'm like trapped in a sort of world of like false analogy here, but I'm like, well, I can't even get anybody to look at my Twitch stream, so or even if they do look, they don't follow, and none of that has anything to do with anything. It's like I don't care, but you know, the you know, I'm while confident in my ability to do things storyboard wise, it's like everything else just still feels like new territory for me. It's intimidating, you know? Another thing about Tifa, she's sort of always smiling. Or 5 11 by 17 portfolios for putting on the table, letting people flip through. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, because I have things like that. Like I have pieces that will fit these. I've got enough widescreen Zelda ones and a few tall portrait stuff like this. I like how this is going. This is, I think this is potential to be a winner. One thing that didn't escape my attention, and I love the ability for social media to do this, is it sort of is a good little proving ground. Like, okay, so if something isn't successful on social media, that doesn't mean anything. It could just be anything. Anything could have caused that to not be noticed, right? But if something is successful on social media, that is interesting to me. Now, it could also just sort of be nothing, because people will click and like on anything. But what I noticed was that people are pretty into Tifa, because I'd done a previous sketch of Tifa, and it was, you know, a sort of a rough sketch, and it was represented a divergence from the Zelda stuff I was doing. So a lot of people who were Zelda fans of mine didn't care for it or didn't notice it or whatever. It didn't even go on their feed. But somehow organically it got shared around anyway. And, you know, to this day, people are still sort of like poking at it and liking at it. And so that sort of helped me gauge. I'm like, okay, there's love for Tifa out in the world. And of course it makes sense that there is, because I do see fan art of Tifa. But this is, it gave me a gauge of like, okay, you know, there's an audience out here for this stuff. It's worth sort of, you know, can I make an iconic-ish rendition of Tifa that will please the masses? Let's give it a shot. So that's what this is now. It didn't necessarily start that way, but it is now. This started as a study, which was harder for me to do than I expected it, which caused me to chase it down out of pride, a sense of like, well, I'm not going to be defeated by a dumb drawing. And so now that it is feeling a little bit more under my thumb, you know, it's come along far enough to actually make it into like a real piece, but yeah, you never know. I get more views multi-streaming to YouTube and Twitch. I have set up my other laptop stream to do this. It hasn't been tested yet, but I have put in all the settings, and theoretically it will happen on Thursday unless I get booked. So I'll probably get booked. On Twitch, there's no discoverability. I know this, yeah. It's okay. You're an art streamer competing on a gaming platform in the top 1%. Twitch keep... Yeah, exactly. Don't lose heart. It's a multi-year struggle anywhere in this industry. Yeah, no, And Charity says this. Yeah. And Andy is saying that I did way better at cons than I do online. This is all interesting. I like hearing this. You guys are very helpful and encouraging. You know, and it's like, I talk too much probably about like, oh, I've got to make it big or whatever. It's sort of like, it's just sort of whether or not that would improve my life or make it worse. I don't know, but I'm okay risking it now. Okay, I think I have this thumb a little bit off. So let's... It's a small thing, but probably closer to like that. Might be something like that. As long as something looks like a thumb, is in the general vicinity of where it's expected to be, I think we're good. I still feel like her face needs a little intensity. I wonder if I can... So... Here, really quick, we can see, if I just turn this layer on and off, we can see what that does to sort of bring a little bit of depth. And that depth, even if I don't keep it active as a layer in the finished piece, it might help me along the way to getting there by having a consistent sense of that space. Her feeling solid in 3D space helps me make decisions. There we go. Okay. Yeah. No discoverability on Twitch. Don't buy a art. Not going meeting the artist. Yeah. Fell in love with this one fairy artist out of Portland. Portland is the land of fairy artists, I'm sure. The entire house was filled with their art because I go back every year just for it. Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said above, artists I see doing this stuff are basically business people doing so much stuff to get money. Interesting. Yeah. There's a couple like whatever quasi-successful artists that I follow. I guess they're successful and they're on YouTube selling at conventions and stuff. And basically they sell like cottagecore, you know, stuff like dragons drinking coffee and reading books, or witches drinking coffee and reading books. I mean, maybe that's what I should be drawing. People, what should it be? Oh yeah, like there's artists out there who all they do is like draw Zelda drinking coffee and reading books. I want a little bit of tension, or at least more tension in her. What's going on? In her expression. She's just a little bit tough. A little bit tough. There. That actually seems to feel pretty good to me. Amy Brown. Amy Brown. We're going to get a peek into Charity's. That might not be the right Amy Brown. Amy Brown art. Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah, great. Or just by means of example. Falling asleep in coffee cups. Who can resist? Brain, some of this is not far from your you know. Brain also draws leggy female figures with wings and tails and flowy things in fun poses. So. Okay, this is feeling pretty good. So this this flare at her the tip of her super long ponytail, which is absurd, is like the game character. Like she has this, at least, and especially in the original PlayStation game. So it's not something I'm shoehorning in there. To me it is an opportunity to have something interesting in this part of the composition. So I'm definitely not leaving it out, but it's not as elegant. as perhaps other decisions could be. It's me struggling with how much of a gothy twist do I want to give her? This is feeling good. Okay. Saving it here. Now I'm going to start to do some fill-ins. And so from here out, it gets kind of chill because I'm more relaxed with feeling confident about the decisions we've made. And I have a fairly straightforward technique or process that more or less gets this stuff looking good, even if I do sort of struggle at some points or feel like I lose my way a little bit. It's usually something I can land in the end without too much issue. So yay, go team. Thanks for hanging out with me while I had to do some processing, some evaluating, some mental heavy lifting, for me at least. I'd be a VTuber, but not a fairy. Yeah, don't you play, gosh, I could... You play, like, shooters or something, don't you? But it doesn't, sometimes people's avatars do seem to have nothing to do with, like, the content that they make, right? Relativity or relatability optional, relative to reality optional. Overwatch, yeah. Okay. Is it Overwatch? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So Overwatch has some really cool character designs. I'd love to do fan art of those. Right now I'm in my like retro arc, but eventually I'll run out of low-hanging fruit. I'll get to the more modern stuff. I worked on a commercial pitch that was starring Overwatch characters. It was actually a Coke ad. It never got made. And it was a very fun crash course in learning how to draw those characters. And then after I learned how to draw them, I was like, awesome, I'm gonna be drawing this IP that is really fun. At least it was fun to draw. The project probably would have been stressful and hard, but that's always the case, you know. At least it's fun to draw interesting characters. But then the project just went away, so. Happens to all the cool projects just go away. They're like, and they ghost you. Okay, so here's my approach to sort of filling in art is often it's easier to fill in the negative space as opposed to the positive space. And why that is not exactly clear to me. But I do it very often in my work, and I know that it works. So we're going to group all these layers together, and those are like the lines, essentially. The lines are the lines. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw into the negative space, and the negative space is the area around her head. It's this little teardrop shape created here in the gap in her hair. It's here in the elbow, and it's here. And you can kind of tell that there's actually less negative space than there is positive space. So overall, it cuts down on the amount of space we need to fill. Most people probably these days use a lasso and fill, and I don't have any judgment there. I've definitely done that in the past. But I like an organic edge. I don't like feeling like there are sort of synthetic-ish. Like I like to feel and recognize and get behind the mark that is in my image if I can. There's time. I'm not in that big of a rush. So I'm going to pick color filler, and yeah, this is just a really thick-ish marker type of tool. And if I apply it essentially in just the negative space, Andy got a bounce later. And we won't go much longer. Actually, it is probably best. Once I get the negative space filled in, we'll just call it an end to the stream. But so what'll be new for this, pretty much for everybody, is I'm going to record an intro as an outro. So if you feel like sticking around for that, it'll only take a minute, but I'm going to say something silly like, "Hi, thanks for joining. In this episode, we're going to keep working on Tifa and get it color ready." Or something like that. Get it ready for finishing steps. So if you'd like to, please stick around and watch me do that. And yeah, come join Max. Something silly like that. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Brain says, I have the opposite take for digital art. I love precise, sharp line art, kind of in digital art. I love texture and physical media. I went through, so when I was getting into digital art, and so this is like over 20 years ago, back when it was fairly new. When I got into it, it was pretty much fairly new. When I showed up at a studio with a drawing tablet, in those early days, like I'm talking about 2000, 2004, 2005, 2006, literally in LA studios, I would go to these studios and they'd be like, I've never seen anybody draw on a computer before. This is fascinating to me. It was like just being able to draw on a computer in 2006 was enough of an edge to start a career. You know, and I don't think I drew as well as you do, Brain, in 2006. So, you know, it gives you an indication of there were advantages simply in consideration of time and place. You know, beyond skill, sometimes it really is just sort of being lucky with stuff. But, and even then, I wasn't necessarily good at drawing on a computer, but I was drawing on a computer, and clients were interested in that because they previously, with like established artists, they had to have other people take the time to scan drawings and make other things, and doing retouches and other stuff was very cumbersome. And they knew that the digital process, you know, it constituted a shift that was coming and that it was exciting to get behind. Now, others have argued that's the same thing that AI is doing, and I do not draw those parallels, but I can see where people who do draw those parallels are coming from. But yeah, so when I started, one thing I tried to do was I tried to include a lot of texturing in my brushes. I wanted my computer-drawn storyboards to look like pencil boards. That was something that, because I sort of recognized that while clients were into the digital jump, not everybody necessarily was ready to see digital boards as equivalent to hand-drawn boards. So I tried to sort of walk that middle line. I straddled. I recognized it as a strategy at the time and embraced, you know, a lot of texture, like paper grain texture and natural looking marks in my work. And that had a lot to do with why I chose and stuck with Painter as my program of choice, was because it was the market leader at the time in that kind of traditional or analog tool mimicry, the look and the is sort of giving a real traditional look and feel to digital made art. That was the sort of niche that Painter occupied. They had charcoal brushes, they had ink brushes, they had big, thick, oily brushes, and all of it did, at the time, constitute the cutting edge of making digital media look like traditional. Over time, when other artists caught up and started doing the same thing, I then embraced fully the untextured lines and all of that. But I still want a little bit of, I want there to be a quality to my brushstrokes and to my lines that feel as though they are signatory of me and my approach. And I do feel like the work I do has that, and I'm glad for it, but you know, that's just my take. It doesn't make it more valid than anything else. Okay, so you can see the negative space here is filled in, and it looks as good as anything else. And if we select it, and then invert that selection, and then fill that in, now there's some gaps. You can actually see there are some areas that I kind of missed. So we're actually going to pause, go back into that negative space, and just sort of double up on those layers to sort of fill in those gaps. And then I'm going to erase out some of these little bits because I don't want it to look like she's cut out like with an X-Acto blade, you know what I mean? And I guess that sort of speaks to something that I think Brain was touching on. Like, you either love that X-Acto blade look or you don't. And or you do, and then you change your mind later like me, and then or back and forth. But yeah, it's just an aesthetic choice. So I do imagine there was less information and more limited technology back then. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they didn't have, like, they barely even had, like, the pen tool, like, with the Bezier curves and stuff. Like, they weren't sophisticated tools back then. Okay, so now we've got the negative space. We can select into it. Doesn't look like there's all these outlined bits. And we can invert it. Oh, wait. There's a little bit too much. Oh, no, there isn't. Okay. Oh, whatever. Here we go. Selecting selecting the negative space, inverting, and then filling, we get the positive space as well. This is a little less clean than I expected it to be honest. Some of this stuff. What's happening here? Still, at a distance, at a glance, it looks pretty good. There's nothing wrong with this that I can't clean up. But having separations of positive and negative space and playing into that is super important. And essentially, sometimes shading can just be as simple as, if I could maybe borrow a moment to demonstrate. Having a transition from light to dark, and then transitioning from light to dark in the positive space, and then from dark to light in the negative space. It's like one of those things that it's presented as simplified here, obviously, with what I just did. But it tends to always work. And so then again, as I go further with this piece, and I'll do more to sort of bring out or take away that contrast, the sort of reasoning will sort of demonstrate itself. That'll be fun. Fairly decent start. Not gonna lie, I see a lot of stuff that I'm like still needs more whatever, but I know that when I light and model the facial features, we're gonna get there. So this is gonna still feel good. All right, now to do my super cringy thing. All right, we're gonna do this super quick. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera and I'll say, hi, thanks for joining. Today I'm going to take this Tifa piece and get it to about this level, which is going to be ready to finish. And along the way, we're going to talk to friends and have a good time. So join Max, we'll have a lot of fun. All right. All right, super cringe, right? Okay, so I'll get in the habit of doing that a little more regularly, and it'll constitute an intro that'll probably be a little bit more grabbing than me clicking randomly, silently with the mouses at the beginning of each stream. All right, well, till next time. Thanks everybody for joining. Brain, good luck. Make more art. Everybody else who's still listening, hope you're doing great. Have a crushing day, as in you crush the day, not the day crushes you. Super important detail. And till next time, adios.